Welcome to the Fast Mode podcast series. I'm Tara Neil, and with me today is Paul Miller, Chief Technology Officer at Wind River. Wind River is a leading software vendor for mission-critical intelligent systems. For 40 years, the company has been an innovator and pioneer, powering billions of devices and systems that require the highest levels of security, safety, and reliability. With nearly 3 decades of telecommunications and advanced technology leadership at both large companies and successful startups, Paul is currently focused on Wind River's edge virtualization and AI solutions, including Wind River's market-leading 5G cloud offering based on Starlink X. Paul joins us today as part of our exclusive editorial segment on Open RAN. Welcome, Paul. Great to have you on today's episode.
Thanks, Tara. It's great to be here, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation today.
Awesome. Okay, to start, how do you see Open RAN reshaping traditional mobile network architectures, and what are some of the most critical enablers for its success?
Yeah, so it's a very good question. We've seen over several years here kind of a transition that's been happening in the market. If you look at the 4G times, the LTE, if you will, that was built with fully proprietary equipment from the major telecom equipment manufacturers that provide products and services to the industry. Now, as we look at the 5G period, now there's a bit of a battle going on. The battle is between a virtualized cloud-based solution, i.e. Open RAN or virtual RAN, and the legacy approach. And the benefits of Open RAN have really proven themselves. And of course, Open RAN has followed on the heels of NFV or Network Functions Virtualization, which had in the past 10, 12 years the service providers already cloudifying the core of their network. So as Open RAN emerges, we're now cloudifying the edge of the network. And this causes the service provider to have a fully software-defined network from core to edge. Very, very powerful capabilities, gives them a lot of flexibility, a lot of commercial advantages. And as we've seen from the deployments now that have been going as long as over 5 years, the carriers are receiving those benefits that they expected to have. So as a result, as we go into 6G, we expect that to be the exclusive way that these networks are deployed and serviced. So you're seeing an evolution, right? 4G proprietary, 5G the emergence of Open RAN, and 6G will be fully Open RAN.
Wow, that's insightful. So we are looking at 6G and or the open architectures becoming the default, right, compared to 5G. So there's not going to be like a long evolution cycle there. We are going to start off with these architectures already in place. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so we've got major production deployments, for example, at Verizon and Boost that are in the tens of thousands of nodes. So in deployment for years with very high availability. So we're actually at a point now in the evolution of Open RAN that the technology is well proven and it's stable and operating at high scale and major service providers. So certainly the evolution of 6G, that's really probably a 2029 kind of time frame at its earliest. But 5G in the interim will be proceeding with Open RAN and some deployments with the legacy approach as well.
Wow, that's really insightful. So, you've just said that we have come to this point of maturity, and then we're confident of bringing this technology when we step into 6G. But how do you see? What are the biggest challenges operators face when transitioning from traditional RAN to Open RAN? In the past when they started embarking on this, right now as they try to steer their networks on an open at the scale, and then especially we have a lot of new players coming in, and then there's evolution in the network itself, the components, and then things like the RIC, and then we have the X apps, R apps, and so forth. So what are the challenges that you see right now?
Yeah, so you get a lot in that question. I'll try to take it apart piece by piece. The original challenges that we had, obviously the attraction of Open RAN is that you both what we call vertically disaggregate and horizontally disaggregate the solution. By vertical disaggregation, we're taking what was previously a proprietary appliance and breaking that apart into an off-the-shelf server, a standard virtualization platform such as Kubernetes, and then software applications. And the advantage to the service provider is now instead of going to a single vendor, they can have vendors competing for the hardware platform, vendors competing for the virtualization layer, and vendors competing for the application. It also gives them the ability to, as time goes by, if any of those vendors disappoint, they can kind of swap them out. And we've seen
Yes,
that, with our
yes.
recent win at Boost, right? So as a result, the attraction, the good side of this is that there's a tremendous commercial power that now the service providers have due to the new technical architecture. There are downsides, though, as you mentioned, there's challenges, and the natural result of bringing all these vendors into play together is you have complex interoperability, and that interoperability, whereas you might previously buy a single box from one vendor and have it supported, that just worked. Now, as a service provider, you're bringing multiple vendors in and integrating them continuously. And
Yeah,
so, in
yeah.
the early days of Open RAN and vRAN, that created a lot of complexity, right? And so, as time has gone by, the vendors have matured, and we now do interoperability outside of the customer environment and bring them a completely integrated solution that works out of the box. And so we've reached a level of maturity that we've solved some of those problems. What I'd say the current problem set is now that we've gotten to the point that we are at, we're operating at very high scale. And so the operational aspects of automation and managing these deployed systems have risen to the forefront as the challenge that everyone's working.
Wow, interesting. So, I think you mentioned about this a little, but can you explain the role of cloud native infrastructure in enabling Open RAN and how it impacts performance and scalability?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in the early days of virtualization in the telco market and other markets, we really started with virtual machines. And the technology often used there was OpenStack, right? And that was kind of the main cloud infrastructure of a cloud environment within a telco service provider. Cloud native, though, is really using containers and microservices and a much more modern Kubernetes container runtime type environment that emerged starting in 2014. So it's a more modern type of cloud infrastructure. It's much more efficient because you can put many more applications than you could dedicating cores and virtual machines to applications. So it's more efficient. And as the market went from NFV to Open RAN and started looking at virtualizing the edge of a carrier network, they chose the latest technology, that being Kubernetes and cloud native approaches for that virtualization. So Open RAN today exclusively uses a cloud native approach. It's 100% of the way that it's done. And our company provides a commercial distribution of an open source project, Starling X, as you mentioned in the beginning of our conversation. And that product is 100% Kubernetes container runtime on bare metal, very high performance, and it has certain attributes that are geared to solve geo-distributed networks like we have in Open RAN.
Wow. So, from based on what you've just said, you need that level of cloud based capabilities to be able to do this, and that's something that telcos have been talking a lot about. What's your take on the preparedness of operators when it comes to the cloud capabilities to support the increasing workloads brought about by Open RAN and also all the other intelligent components?
I think it varies by customer as we encounter each customer. The customers that have adopted previously NFV and embraced that well, they have a basic understanding of IP networking and they have an understanding of virtualization technologies, right? And so effectively what happened is you move from a classical telco where you were dealing with, SIP messaging and the kind of things that happened with a telco core infrastructure, and you move to a cloud native infrastructure. Really, what that means is your telecommunications operations team needs to have IT enterprise skills, right? Because a lot of this, Kubernetes technology came from the IT enterprise domain, if you will, and is being leveraged as a cloud technology for telco. So you encounter teams that have very deep understanding of telecommunications and radio access networks and 5G infrastructure, but they don't understand Kubernetes, right? And server-based platforms and this sort of thing. So that tends to be the thing that you'll encounter now and then. We tend to support the customer with professional services in that regard so that they can ramp up and train their staff and move to the new technology platform.
Brilliant. Okay, so now let's talk about Wind River. How are you guys contributing to Open RAN deployments globally, and what makes Wind River Studio unique in this aspect?
Yeah, great question. So Wind River is a company that's been in business for over 40 years. We have involvement in a variety of different industries, industrial, medical, aerospace, defense, telecommunications, automotive. And that's because we're an infrastructure company. We provide operating systems and cloud infrastructure that naturally gets used in a variety of those environments. The unique thing about Wind River, though, is we're really a mission critical software company. Rather than a company that provides just kind of low availability IT enterprise that might be 3 nines, for example, for availability. We provide solutions that might be 6 nines availability, less than 30 seconds of downtime a year. Or in some cases, in systems that we provide for aircraft and automobile, they must have 100% availability. So the level of software quality and performance is extremely high. And as we entered the Open RAN market, we started looking at the way that cloud technology was built, and it was really built for that 3 nines IT enterprise environment. It was not built for a highly available service such as a telecommunications service provider needs. You've got emergency 911 calling, and you've got lawful intercept, and all these things that happen on a telco network. They can't go down, right? You can't have that system go down. So we founded about 7 years ago this open source activity called Starling X in the Open Infrastructure Foundation, which is also where OpenStack lives today. And that activity was designed to solve these problems. So we built it to be highly available. We built it to be cost effective at the edge with a low footprint. We built it to have a single pane of glass to support a geo-distributed deployment. As you may know, RAN deployments have tens of thousands of sites all over a nation. It's a separated system. It's not running in one data center, and that implies different requirements on the technology. So Starling X was a technology designed to solve those problems. And so when we entered the market with that, it was really welcomed by major service providers because it ideally solves the problems that they have with that type of challenge.
Wow. Well, coming back to the idea of interoperability, right? So, with multiple vendors involved in these architectures, how can interoperability and integration be managed effectively?
Yeah, so it's really through strategic partnerships. So we have partnerships as I kind of described the vertical disaggregation. We have a hardware layer that's usually servers and processors and that sort of thing. We have tremendous partnerships with the likes of HPE and Dell and Intel and the technologies, the companies that provide the technologies that build that hardware platform. And we continuously integrate our virtualization solution with those partners. So for example, Intel, their processors are leading edge with respect to Open RAN solutions, their accelerators, their network interface cards that are used for the environment that we deploy in. These are all integrated together, and we have a close partnership and continuously integrate that. On what we call the northbound side, then you're talking to the applications. So Samsung, Ericsson, Nokia, Mavenir, these type of telecommunications equipment providers have moved to providing a software application that provides the telco function. And especially in the radio access network, these applications are very near real time. And they make use of accelerators and high performance kernels and this sort of thing. So we work very closely with them. And so we have integration labs, we have engineers dedicated on site at each of these partners, and we continuously integrate both northbound and southbound so that when we approach a customer, we can bring them a fully integrated and functioning solution. And then as they deploy and run it in their network, we can upgrade it and maintain it and know that everything's going to work as we bring that technology to them.
And with that, you create a truly open environment, and you guys work harmoniously. No matter how many components are modularized and virtualized and stuff, but you get everything working together.
Yes, that's the idea of open and Open RAN, right? And even now, Open and Open RAN has made it such that even different components in the solution can come from different vendors. So, of course, like I explained earlier, that's being driven by the commercial concerns about driving TCO down and the sort of things that commercially create an advantage. But it's created, as you described, a complex ecosystem of modularity. Right?
Yep. Well, awesome. I think with that, we are at the end of the session. So thank you so much, Paul, for joining us today and sharing all these brilliant insights on Open RAN, as well as Wind River's role in this space.
Thank you for having me on the show. It's really great to be your guest, and we had a great conversation. Thank you.
Okay. So, and to everyone tuning in, thank you guys for listening. If you want to learn more, visit www.windriver.com and follow us for more updates and insights as we continue to uncover the latest in telecoms and technology. See you in our next session. Bye-bye.